Hi, my name is Joe Jackson. I'm an interviewer, journalist and broadcaster. And for the first decade of this century, I did for the Irish radio station RTE Radio 1 a music series titled Under the Influence. Sadly, that title was subsequently used, be it stolen consciously or otherwise, for a similar MTV show. So now, after revisiting the master tapes of those old interviews, I've decided to turn the best into a podcast series called The Music That Made Me. I may even add the subtitle, Made Me Want to Make Music. Either way, what follows is one of those shows, minus music, which for copyright reasons I can't include. Some of the full shows and many of my other radio programs are available on Mixcloud.com. And if you want to read any articles that arose out of these interviews, you can check out joejacksoninterviewer.com. Enjoy the show.
Francis Rossi, backstage at the Olympia.
Right.
I want you to tell me what was the very first song you heard. It could have been a single or it could have been someone singing at home that really clicked and made you go, I've got to get into that game.
Well, I don't know if it made me get into the game. One of the things that, apparently when I was small, when I was young, I had rather a large head and a small body.
Okay.
So my mother told me this.
Okay.
And I used to get to the top of the stairs and they'd catch me and I'd go, no, because I'd look down and the weight of my head would drag me down the stairs and I'd fall down. And I'd cry so much, they put records on. And the first record I remember that they put on for me was All Over Italy, they know it's Concertina, Papa Piccolino. Because anything that was slightly Italian we had.
All right.
And I realised many years later that it's the Italian start, the shuffle. And lots of folk music, Irish folk music, some Spanish, some Italian. I've got that.
Right.
It's all shuffling rhythms. Well, you go in a pub in Dublin, isn't there? They're all going.
So it's a variation of the shuffle.
Yeah, basically, and I think that's what got me into it. But a little later on than that, I heard.
So we won't play that one. We'll play the first record you bought. But you sang it well, so that's okay. People get a sense of it.
Yeah.
All right.
But the first thing that really had the effect on me was Everly Brothers records, and I don't know if I bought any of those. But I used to see the Everlys, and for some reason I wasn't particularly a person to buy records.
Right.
My mother had lots of Guy Mitchell records, which I liked.
Okay.
I think she must have fancied him. And,
so if we play what, Guy or the Everlys? One of the Everlys
I'd say the
songs
Everlys.
to kick off. Which song of the Everlys would you remember as kind of one of their ballads?
A really
or one of their
profound
rockers?
effect was Cathy's Clown.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the time, I was just coming into puberty, and it was very early in puberty, and I remember sitting someplace feeling really rejected by this girl and this record coming. There was something, I can't tell you her name, but Mother Teresa her name was. and this Cathy's Clown, I remember at the time, the whole thing about the Everly Brothers I thought was it. And I saw the Everly Brothers on TV, and myself and my brother wanted to do that.
Okay.
And so we got the guitars for Christmas.
Right.
But he changed his mind and got a train set at the last minute. I'll never let him forget that.
So was it the harmonies you heard that you went, God, that's great?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it was the strummy.
Okay.
I'd seen other guys playing guitar with, I thought, I'm never going to be able to do that. And I was right. See, I still can't do it.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was the idea of being able to strum, jing, 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 and sing. And I still have that thing now with acoustic guitars. You can hit an acoustic guitar, and because there's a percussive thing going there,
Yeah.
and you can hit the board, and it's like the whole band in one.
Yeah.
When you're playing acoustic guitar.
Right, okay. All right, so will we play a bit of Cathy's Clown for you? You can hear it coming in, can't you? Can't you hear it? You know the
I hear
intro.
it fading out now.
Yeah.
Look.
Okay, so Francis Rossi, when you started buying records, you said your mum had Guy Mitchell, you liked the Everly Brothers, but some of the rock and roll greats that you do in the show, would you have bought some of those at the time? Some of the Jerry Lee Elvis?
No, again, those things, I was a bit... One of my cousins was into Buddy Holly. I could never see Buddy Holly.
Still don't know?
No, I know he's a great, and people say he's a great. Not for me, nor was Elvis.
Okay.
But I used to see a lot, and I was aware that I saw these, was Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, Gene Vincent, all of these kind of rock and roll shows that would be on TV.
All right.
And the most effect they had on me was the fact that they worked. It wasn't just playing a tune and smiling and sitting there la 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 la. They were, Jesus, they were going for it.
Right.
Their whole body was involved in this thing.
Right.
I mean, I subsequently disliked Jerry Lee Lewis a lot later on when I found out more about him and met him.
As a person. And
I never really. I can't deal with all that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Can you still listen to
Richard-
the music though and freeze that out, or has
Yes.
it turned you off the music?
No, I still like the music
Okay,
because
so do I.
I still believe that the commitment for it, that I used to see him and Little Richard, and particularly Jerry Lee, he would look so frigging ugly when he was working. And when I was young, the whole thing about being a pop star or a rock star was to be pretty, and I knew from the mirror that I wasn't. And so I
Was
thought,
all that falling down the stairs, man? That was not good for you.
it wasn't. It knocked all my head out of shape. I was a pretty handsome lad otherwise. But I used to see them on that. It still does have a real. I can still see it, and particularly these days when you hear about everyone calls themselves a rock and roll band. I don't know, from REM to Oasis to anybody, they all call themselves rock and roll bands. And
Right.
I think, well, I like your music and stuff, but why are you calling yourself a rock and roll band? If you want to be one, commit. And if you physically have to commit, that's what I learned from these guys. And we worked with Jerry Lee Lewis a couple of times. We worked with Little Richard in various places. I never got to work with Gene Vincent, but all those guys physically committed to the number when they were doing it. Especially Little Richard and Jerry Lee. They would go like Billy O, and it was so real.
Okay, so Little
to
Richard
me
or Jerry Lee, which do you want to hear?
Little Richard, I think, either Good Golly Miss Molly Tooties Fruit, any of those really, anything about Little Richard, any of those up-tempo rockers that he did.
Did Little Richard make a play for you?
Did he what?
Make a play for you?
No, I didn't realise at the time, no. It wasn't until later on I realised.
No, but he told you.
I was lucky with Jerry Lee, wasn't I? He was after young girls.
Oh, yeah, well, he also could have shot you. Okay,
Yeah, he
so
was fucking mad. He was.
dangerous man. Okay, so we're playing. Well, we're forgetting now. One of the Tutti Frutti maybe, or well, What Bopaloo was a good kick-off. We just talked about rock and roll, so it's
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it is. Hackney, Tutti Frutti.
Yeah.
We all agreed on that, haven't we?
absolutely. Yeah, no, we got.
We
that.
reckon it should be
It's
Tutti
good, good to
Frutti.
play the originals.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're getting into, we're coming out a Little Richard. Okay, talk me about how. Tell me how did any group sounds like in the early '60s when you moved beyond the early rockers? What vocal groups? What kind of
There was a
R&B
little-
groups or whatever would you have gone? I can use that. I can shape that. We can shape our band in that style.
I didn't necessarily consciously think of it that way. There was the whole thing of the shadows that were around, so that's okay. And
You don't have to be ashamed of the shadows. The shadows.
no, I'm not saying it was over to me. I couldn't play like that.
Oh, right.
I used to think, how does he remember all those bloody bits? I really did. No, I mean, you realise later on that he goes into water and you can do it, but
All right.
I think I'm not going to play lead guitar. I just keep watching and think, no, I'm sticking to rhythm. So for years, I'm serious, for years. That's why I had an organist. I thought, he can play lead. I'm not playing lead. I could never remember where the bloody notes are,
Okay.
But it was a bit with the shadows and all that 60s boom stuff and the Beatles and the songwriting. But I move along a little further. Maybe I've gone too far forward, but after Matchstick Man, all that had gone on.
Yeah.
Is this too far forward?
Well, just give us, before we move into your own stuff, just about, was there anything we could play from that era? I mean, we can play the shadows if you like, but was there something of
No,
the
I
Pretty
know,
Things or any of that stuff?
Oh, yeah, I used to like, we used to go and see, we used to work with Pretty Things a lot.
Yeah.
I think we did Don't Bring Me Down. I think we
Oh,
did
right.
Got Love If You Want It.
Yeah, those kind of things I imagine would be a more direct influence.
Yes,
or-
but there's this is a bit more hammy, which is but more to
Go
the
ahead.
point.
Right.
Again, because I said to you, I wasn't going to play lead guitar. It was going to be an organ.
Yeah.
I can't say it. You're gonna
You can,
laugh.
go on.
Tornadoes. Now, see, he's laughing. I knew
I'm
he'd
not. What did I say coming up the stairs? I said we can do it at Joe Meek on the stairs with the
laugh.
echo.
We worked with Joe Meek,
All right, okay.
and he did that. He had one foot in the bath,
Right.
and when we went to load into his place, we were John Cogler. We were only young, and we went in. He said, "We don't have bass drums in here." We thought, "Dickhead."
Right.
I mean, you don't have bass drums. It's a drum kit. No, we don't have bass drums. He was serious. Don't even bring it in. So you set the kit up and the poor
Like you
bloke-
couldn't set it up in the house.
No, he wouldn't have it in. It's not you
Oh,
couldn't. He
okay.
wouldn't have it in there. So the drummer, wherever the drummer went in there, had to go in and half the kit missing, see? And he's out in the other room with his one foot in the bath and one foot out going, you see? What bloody hell's going on here?
All right.
But we did that with him, and we used to do a lot of Tornado stuff. Telstar. No, we did Telstar, but we did Robot. Was it Robot? Something Robot?
Yeah, Robert was the follow-up to Telstar.
And there was a few other things like that we did of theirs.
Okay.
And we would do things as instrumental.
Was this around 62, 63?
Yeah, 63, 64.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait a minute, I've been 15. 62, 63, yeah.
I would very happily play the Tornadoes.
Fine, let's play it to
So
another
which do you want here, Robot or
Yeah, not Telstar,
Telstar,
right?
no.
Something after Telstar, yeah, anything like that.
one of the other ones?
Sputnik, or well, there was Sputniks for another band, weren't
Yeah.
there, as well?
Yeah.
And I met them later on. One of them became a roadie with us in Sweden, and he was a lot to do with ABBA. Bono.
You've talked about a few of your heroes you met just as an anecdotal level. Was there anyone you met who really lived up to your expectations? Like Jerry Lee, you loved him from a distance, and then you found out about him in Blues. Was there anyone you really met, a rocker, pop singer, or anything?
Well, this is some of the contemporary, I suppose, of mine was Jeff Lynne. We'd worked with Jeff Lynne a lot when he was with Idle Race. And anybody that talks to me, that's it. He's a mate of mine, you know. Right. Most people don't want to talk to me, so poor little Catholic boy, you know. And but I always had this thing about Jeff Lynne, and we saw him Idle Race. And when he first did the wizard thing, I didn't want to know. And then when we came ELO at first, I didn't want to know because I didn't want it to be good, you know.
Right.
A jealous little git, that's me.
Okay.
But somebody gave me an album of theirs, of his, After El Dorado, I think it was. And that was it. I was hooked, and I'm still badly hooked on him.
Okay.
Anything from Jeff Lynne, particularly his Armchair Theatre album, which didn't do well at all. And
all right.
He did. Sorry, I missed waffling. He did the Harrison album. He did, which was called Cloud Nine. That was fantastic. Yeah. Fish in the Sand, things like that. He did Tom Petty album with Free Fall, and it's got to be one of the best things ever put on fucking record.
Yeah.
He's just got such a way that Jeff Lynne does things. And it's...
He did stuff with Orbison too, just before.
Yes, I know. Some of that was great as well. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I liked both versions of I Drove All Night. I liked her version and his version.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
So okay, you were going to mention we're coming out of Francis Rossi. We're coming out of the Tornadoes. Yeah. Whichever. You mentioned there you were going into the Matchstick Man around that era. You were going to say
that era. We'd gotten underweight and got the single Matchstick Men was taken off, and we were. And realising quickly we were becoming, there was nothing in it, you know, there was nothing in this appealing to young girls. How right I can be today, because I mean that is the mass market. But
what do you mean there was nothing in it? That it was too easy?
It wasn't going anywhere for us. I don't.
All right, okay.
As terms of a career, and I'd always. We were told from being very, very young, you've got no chance. There's too many bands out there. Why don't you just leave it alone? Get a job. What are you going to do when you're older? All these things that parents say, you know.
Okay.
Even when we were 20, people were saying, come on now, give it up. Get a decent job and all that
Even when Matchstick Man hit the
charts? Yes, after Matchstick Man, even when we were ready for making Pile Driver.
Right.
I remember Rick's dad saying to him, you know, get your haircut and get a decent job, you lazy git.
Okay.
And we were working our asses off, and he said, "You lazy son."
But did you not just open the wallet and say, "Hey, can you earn that?"
It didn't make any difference. He didn't see it at the time. Okay. You've got to remember back then that it didn't. It's not going to last, boy. Okay. That's what I said to you. So that's why people say now, "Why are you still doing it?" Because I'm not going to let it go.
Yeah.
You told me it wasn't going to work, and I'm going to hang on to it. I don't understand people that come in this business for 10 minutes to make a few bob and say, "Well, I don't really want to." I don't understand that.
Yeah. So what did you decide then out of that? This is what we have to do to kind of get longevity.
Right, to get that, you know, we'd started playing a lot with Fleetwood Mac, early Fleetwood Mac and Chicken Shack. And we loved both those bands. And we'd do our set, you know, so-called set, on this college circuit, and we'd rush off, get changed, and at that time, you know, you could just sit on the side of the stage with anything you like, nobody was bothered. And we'd sit and watch Fleetwood Mac or Chicken Shack, and they'd come on and dum, 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 dum. About an hour and a half later, we were still there, and they were still going on. Dum, 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 dum. And me and Rip were going, "Yep, that's all right, suits me. Why can't we play this shit? Why can't we do this, you know?" And that started us on the train. We started to get something changed in us. I suppose initially we did Steam Hammers, Junior's Wailing. Started to do that, you know. And I remember somebody saying to us about it and saying it didn't suit, and I thought, no, it doesn't suit us because I couldn't play lead freaking guitar. I thought, well, if they go this route, if we actually do go this route when I want to go, who the bloody hell's going to play guitar? There's all these shit-up players out there, and there's me going to try and go, and I couldn't do it. But it didn't stop us, and that.
All right.
And Bob Young as well, we'd met round about Maximum time, and he had an angle on the blues thing, I don't know, which I don't think we would have had. Because I always maintain that we were white guys copying white guys who copied black guys.
Okay.
We didn't even copy the black guys because I didn't know who they were. I didn't know. I'd never heard of John Lee Hooker or is it Johnson? Willie Johnson, whatever his name is, Robert Johnson, is it?
Yeah. Jimmy Witherspoon, all those people.
I maybe occasionally saw him in a club somewhere. What the bloody hell was Jimmy Witherspoon and all that? And Bob took me once to see Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, these two old guys, and they were fantastic. Oh, this is all right, isn't it?
So were you absorbing all that stuff? And when you did Matchstick Men...
No, Matchstick Man was copying Jimi Hendrix.
Was that copying Jimi Hendrix?
Well, believe it or not, I don't see it now, but I did then.
Like that intricate lead opening line?
No, that wasn't. That was nothing to do. There's the chord sequence. The I thought, yeah, I hadn't heard those before then.
That was straight out of Hendrix?
Oh yeah, to me it was anyway.
Okay, and what about the opening little lick?
Well, I'd done this
that got
thing.
everybody's attention.
I know it did. It was that piss easy. And
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing. I thought, well, that sounds a bit naff, you know. But where can I make it sound better? I don't know why I did it. It was played on the B string.
Yeah.
On the 12th fret, I think, with a key ring. Or 14th. And 15th. Something like that. And I tuned the top E down, brought it down to the B, and put it slightly out of tune so you get the harmonic beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just sort of, I thought I like that, so I did it like that.
Yeah.
The amount of people who came up to me afterwards saying, I love that metronome on your record. I'm going, the what? It was by the amount of compression on the track, and me hitting around the pick like, these guys had a then you double tracked it. There was even more out of tune this.
Right.
And that's when I think we all learned that out of tune can be good.
Okay.
Slightly out of tune can be really good.
Right.
Which is what a lot of classical things when they put the brass to make it sharp.
All right.
It sounds much more and it's slightly sharp.
Can we play Matchstick Man? We've talked about it so much.
Yeah, I suppose you'll have to.
We don't have to. We can flip it over and play the other side.
No,
something you were happy with.
do not play the other side.
Why was it really shy?
Oh, it was shite. I hated it.
I bought it, man. The pink pie label, wasn't that what it was on?
Yeah, we were at
Remember that?
0.5% retail or something. Us, the Kinks, Pet Clark.
Oh,
Half
the
a
pie
percent.
label. Oh, really?
Peanuts out that record.
All right, okay.
Terrible.
Okay, so we come out of Matchstick Man. Well, even if we only played part of it, after you talking us into the intro, we can't not play it. Okay.
Yeah.
So lead us into another song where you maybe from first album, second album, where you begin to go, now we're getting the sound. All the other stuff I've been watching, listening to.
We got our own first shuffle. Somebody had given us Down the Dustpipe, this guy called Carl Grossman, who was singing about being Jewish somewhere in New Orleans, a confusing little record. And that had taken 6 months to break. We were lucky, the guy at Pie, we wanted to leave Pie, and there was a guy, Peter Prince, who really believed in the band and wanted us to stay and thought he could turn it, and he did turn it. He eventually made the record and it went. But it wasn't quite doing it, and then Bob and I wrote in my chair in a few minutes. And the whole idea was, everyone was kind of singing these dream things about drugs in those. I thought, we'll try this one. And people said, you must have been into some drugs then. And no, not then I wasn't, not at all.
Okay.
So we wrote in my chair, and that seemed to capture the mood. There was a mood that could get your neck going, oh yeah, this is good.
All right.
However, you can't write two in my chairs. As much as people think all our stuff is the same, it's very difficult to write within a kind of in a framework of rock and roll without being the same. And as I've gotten older, the whole thing about people complain about things being the same, everything in music's the bloody same if you look at it. Everything.
Does that bother you that people are saying?
It has done, and it does sometimes.
But don't they usually judge that on maybe the top singles or
Exactly
whatever?
that,
They don't
yeah.
go checking a whole range of tracks.
No, that's exactly it. They don't listen to an album. And, if us three could go back to then, and sorry, there's a third man in the room, he doesn't say it.
Okay.
If we were to go back to, say, the Power Driver album, or Powered River, as the Australians called it, they got it wrong. And we look at it and we all agree, Paper Plane's the one we're going to go for. Fine. We get to the next album, but in those days you only did one single off an album, you couldn't do two.
Right.
Oh no, we couldn't do that. All that stuff was ridiculous when you think about it. But then we come to the next album that's got Caroline on it. Us three go, Caroline's the one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obvious. And the next one that came along, they break the rules, and they said, must be Break the Rules. Or Down. Must be that one. We'd have all gone with the same ones.
Right.
However, the real true Status Quo fan knows the album material, so he doesn't have this problem that the peripheral audience, if you like, have, that they all sound the same.
Sure. Well, let's play something for the peripheral audience who say they all sound the same. Let's pick some album track that shows this is just way off the beat for it.
From one of the earlier albums. Yeah, Claudie, from Hello album. Okay. That was leaning towards the country thing, if you like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And were you listening to country and that stuff then?
Well, I think it came, everything I really liked when I was younger,
Right.
the Everleys, Connie Francis, and the other guy I mentioned, Mr. Blues, singing the blues, Guy Mitchell.
Guy Mitchell, yeah.
When I eventually went to the States in the early 70s, they were country people that had managed to break through to the, if you like, the pop market.
Yeah.
I, as a kid, took it on as, this is pop music. And no, they're country. They were all country people. And then I got into blues. So rock, blues, pop and country, I mean, there's no frigging difference. They all want to say these ones, oh no, I'm blues, this is good. Or I'm, no. And the pop people can't stand the country because it's all the same. And the other lot can't stand the blues because it's all the same. What are you on about?
Yeah, right.
You either like it or you don't. If you don't like it, it's shit and it all sounds the same.
Okay, we're going to play one that doesn't sound the same from Status Quo. And this...
You didn't like it talk that much, did you?
No, it's okay. This is... You decide whether this is...
Claude.
Or... Great. Okay. Move on to...
if I waffle on, chop me off, because I love talking.
No, keep talking. So, we're coming out of that track. And again, when you said there you left Pi Records, was that because you were getting a really low royalty? Or was it just you got a better deal elsewhere, you got more control over your sessions? And
initially it was the control. I can't say that at that point you were particularly worried about royalties because there wasn't enough to worry about to be the driving thing. The initial thing was that Colin Johnson was aware that the record company didn't necessarily see the way we were going, if you like, the slight change that was going on.
Right.
We'd been really manufactured by the people in the business that would swoop on a band. It's logical, it's going to happen. Not necessarily bitter about it, but we would all taken out the same clothes. A particular guy told us what number to open the set with, and we should do this song, we should do it, or something at the chart.
Just at the very start?
Yeah, because people...
Right. Yeah.
But and then after that, we got so unfashionable that it didn't matter to anybody. So we would have great difficulty getting into any gigs with that name.
Right.
And so I've been used to coming off the back foot most of my life, and it's good for you, really. I think. Sorry, what are we talking about?
Oh wait, no, just that about moving on and getting a better control on your own material, your own.
Yeah, so that's why we went to. Well, initially we were, as Colin Johnson took a chance. I think he remortgaged his house to pay for part of it, and which seems ridiculous now. Because you couldn't buy a car for that money. And he believed in us that much. He remortgaged his house and we were out of contract, I think, or perhaps we weren't, but we were making an album and we were producing ourselves, which I thought was very hard work between me, Rick and Nuff at the time.
Okay.
Trying to get 3 guys to agree. It's enough trying to get 2 to agree.
Okay.
You can't get 3 or 4 or 5 to agree. And the band has always worked as democracy.
Okay.
Which is increasingly difficult.
But do you all agree on the sound then that you achieved and developed and evolved and it has become the Quo sound, or were there always tensions saying, no, I want to go another direction?
I always felt that we could broaden slightly, particularly when I heard the Eagles had done Already Gone, which just sounded like a classy Status Quo to me. And I think Alan at the time was always very worried about a certain macho-ness that we were supposed to have, which is a bit weird for me and Rick to be looking macho. Especially Rick with his little hips and his wiggly bum and everything and his blonde hair, It just
and what about you? Why can't you be macho?
Well, I just don't. I'm looking at me. I don't see me as macho. I see me. Well, I know who I am.
Well, a pink T-shirt, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. A little chef's trouser look lovely today. I never saw it. I could never see myself as that.
So who was saying that was working against the band? Who thought this macho image we're projecting is limiting or whatever?
Well, me, and for years I'd seen that. It wasn't I didn't like what we were doing. It's just it could be a little broader.
Okay.
And as I said to you, I don't see any difference between country, blues or rock. What's the difference? Same chord sequences, basically singing about the same things.
Right.
And some pop stuff. And that bad word, pop, Praise the Lord that we're not a pop act. You either like it or you don't. I don't care what it's called.
Right.
And like a lot of rap stuff I can't stand, but there'll be 1 or 2 shows that blinding record. Why people want to intellectualise and become elitist about music? And music is fun. It either stirs you or it doesn't. If it doesn't stir you, you could be missing the point. It's not necessarily crap. You may be missing it.
Do you feel hemmed in by Quo's fans, by expectations, by audience expectations?
I don't know. Yes and no. If I said yes, I know me well enough that if I was feeling that, I'd dig my heels in and go, I'm not going to do that, and I'll do this then.
All right.
But I love what we do. I always have loved what we do. And
You won't do that Italian shuffle song that you heard as a kid on stage tonight. Face it.
Actually, it's a bloody good idea. Because we like to do something in the encore. We do something in the encore usually, you know, we get to a point and then for a while we've been doing, Rick starts singing Living Doll and I so
You hate it?
well, it's like, what are we doing this for? And I see someone in the audience going, like I said, certain people still have that, sacrilege, they played this kind of song. It's just a bunch of notes.
Yeah.
I can't see how rocking all over the world is acceptable and, I don't know, Burning Bridges or something else or Margarita isn't.
Okay.
In rocking all over the world, you go, la 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 la. What are we talking? If
That's like the Italian song you were singing earlier. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Isn't it though? So what's the, you know, that's the
What is the name of that song? So the listeners are probably
Papa
going mad.
Piccolino.
Papa Piccolino.
Mhm.
And who sang it again? I don't know.
Oh, I don't
Lord
know. I
knows.
can't remember. I just
Right.
remember the B-side was If I Had a Golden Umbrella. And this girl had to sound so happy. With
Okay.
sunshine on the inside and a rainbow on the outside. If I had a golden, what a wonderful world it would be. That's correct.
There's your closer song, man. That's tonight's show.
We would do
Sort
it
the
if we
real
were.
Quo fans out if you finish
Yeah,
with
you
that.
can
and say,
leave
"Thank
it
you
in
and good
droves,
night."
right? It'd be gone in droves, I tell you.
Okay, so let's play another track, and we won't go for another obvious one. Let's go for another track that may surprise people. Something that you wrote, something that you feel, if you were going to stretch the band, this is about as close as I went or would go. Is there a song?
Probably Margarita, but lots of people hate that. Lots of people love it, lots of people hate
Why do
it.
people hate it though?
I don't know, because
Right.
as I said, I think a lot of us, when we go into music, we get into a particular music, and then rather than just liking it for what it is, and, you know, it's just music, it means something about who they are. And I think once you're in that, and I shouldn't knock it, because I think lots of people around the world are like that, but if they like, you know, it's got to be hard and aggressive, and I've got to wear a leather jacket and dirty and da-da-da. So I can't like a Boyzone's record, or I can't like a Take That record. To me, I'm going, boy,
All right.
I love Take That's last single. I couldn't stick the band, I couldn't stick the whole idea of them. But their last single I thought was brilliant.
All right. So Margarita, have fans told you they don't like you doing
big
that
time,
stuff?
big time.
Like what, letters they come up to you?
Oh, you hear it all the time. I read it on the website, all sorts of places, that Margarita shit. There's even one guy, I haven't seen him yet, we've only been out a few days, but he comes to, I'd say 80% of our shows. And when In the Army comes on, he puts this huge thing over his head and stands there. With this like drape over his head, and he just stands there. He
Okay.
hates it.
Okay.
Doesn't think it should be anything to do with us at all.
Okay. We're going to play Margarita
Thanks.
for those fans.
You're going to die like I am.
All right, Francis Rossi, before any Quo fans turn off, we can promise them that before the end of the show we'll play something they probably are expecting us to play.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
maybe not.
We'll
Let's just
see.
play around with it.
Right.
You were talking earlier, you made a reference to the fact that when back in the 60s they were saying you must have been into drugs, and you later got into drugs, and I saw you do your trick with the nose on Michael Parkinson's show. Did you never worry, as a lot of coke users do, that you're going to just blow your voice?
I did. It got really close, and I'd gotten to doing, I could maybe do 2 shows.
When was
And
this?
have a
What
day
point,
off.
what period of the career was this at? Early 80s?
Middle 80s, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Through the 80s.
Yeah.
I'd finished it I'd knocked most out on the head by 87, 88 when I
Okay.
married my current wife. I love saying current wife, just in case she thinks she's safe. I love doing that. I love her to death.
You better emphasise that.
I do, she's a wonderful woman.
Okay.
But that whole thing, I never understand how I started coke, because I used to see other people think it's disgusting, it's gross to shove things up their nose, and I was always touchy about my nose anyway.
After falling down the stairs
Yeah,
so much.
exactly, whacked it about, you know. And sure enough, there I was,
All right.
snorting away, and I could see people miles away now that are doing it. There was somebody on TV this morning, somebody very well known. I went, oh, she's done a night out.
Okay.
Like, we hear my dad talking like that, you know. Don't you remember Phil Lynott? He's lovely. His last couple of records, this town is broken down, this town is
All
broken.
right.
Poor old Phil.
Mate, he had a
Loved
cold.
him.
He had a cold.
He had a nasty cold for a few years.
Okay, so but when did the point come that you say I'm going to actually not be able to perform anymore?
I met this woman in Northern Ireland who is homeopathic, does pinology and all that stuff, and I'd been seeing him. John said to see him for this kind of relaxing massage with a few pins and that, and it was really good. And they said to me, that voice of yours sounds grim. In the morning it'd be like that, you know.
All right.
Serious like that. And they said, I can do something with that. Oh, yeah, of course you can, you know. I've been doing loads of coke and drinking. You can't top that.
Okay.
And they put these 2 magnets on my throat like that. I thought, what a pile of shit. So I lay there rather for about 20 minutes. And they came back and took them off and said, how do you feel? And to check if the voice is okay. You do anything like that. If the falsetto's okay.
Right, they know.
You'll be all right, you know.
Okay.
So I went, what? And it was there. I thought, well, how did they do this? What did they do? You couldn't be them bloody magnets. I now carry 2 magnets.
Do you want to put on your own throat?
Yeah, if you're really straining.
Right.
There's a series of things. If you're really straining, you can put the negative side and it relaxes them. And if you're a bit under in half an hour before the show, I put them on and it flexes them up a little.
Okay.
But I started exercising, which gave me more stomach muscles, which gave me greater control. I stopped drinking. I now have just about stopped smoking. I don't mix carbohydrates with protein. I did so many things because I suddenly realised that I really do love doing this. And unless I'm down there tonight and I really do enjoy it, what the heck am I doing in this town?
Right.
I could have been home with my wife and family, taking it easy. But I love being it.
Your wife and family doesn't travel with you now?
Sometimes, really.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. I've got so many of them. Come on.
So many wives and families?
Family. So I've got 8 children.
All right, okay.
Serious. But I realised that I want to stay alive. I've got this brat site came from that culture, the generation you were saying that said, sod it when you're old. You know, I hope I die before I get old. Right, I'm wild. You get old, say, sod that, I don't want to die. You get to 40, you start realising, that's what it happened to me. I was about 40, 38, 40. I like this. I'd married someone I was in love with. I got new children. I'm learning to play guitar.
Learning to
play guitar. I started to practice more. I go, shit, I got this together. I like this. And then suddenly thought, well, hang on. What you've been doing to your body could kick over tomorrow. So I just started to take care of myself, and it made a hell of a lot of difference. I can do 5 or 6 shows now if I need to.
All right. Okay.
The voice is in much better condition. I'm actually a better singer than I was. I'm a better everything than I was. And I know I can say that and be confident that it's true.
All right.
And I feel pleased with myself.
Okay. And you will go on. The band will go on.
Oh,
I mean, that nonsense about I hope I die before I get old. I mean, Keith Moon is the only one who probably regrets it.
Exactly.
Who's saying that?
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, when you think of blues musicians, country musicians, the pop musicians,
they go on.
They go on forever.
Of course.
So there is no, and you don't get. Do you encounter ageism? Do you get people saying you guys should just wrap it up and back it up and go?
Oh, big time.
From who though? Within the media, within the music business?
Both.
Yeah?
Yeah. We heard of things, it's related to the Irish. There was a programme, I don't know what it was, but I think it was about Bosony. I call them Bosony, Boys Own.
Okay.
And we met the lads, nice guys and all the business, you know, but this guy was doing this thing about them and it was really quite interesting. And he finished it, I could punch him if I see him. He said, of course he said Ronan and the boys, he didn't want to go on forever and be like Status Quo and end up going on. I thought, that's bullshit. I was so into the programme, and it's utter bullshit. Instead of him saying, they've come to the end of the line, this band, they know it's not going to work anymore. We might be able to get a bit more out of Ronan, good luck to him, but the rest of it has had it.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. It's run its course. They had a whole career on covers. I'm not knocking that. Good luck. I'm great that they did it. But don't start knocking and say you didn't want to last. Unless that's me, I don't understand people. It's like I wanted to get into radio, but only for 2 years. What? I want to be a photographer, but only for a year or two. It's not true. These kind of jobs, you want to do. This is what you are. It's what you are. This is what I am. It's what you are.
All right.
Not I'm going to do this for a few weeks and I'm off to do. I want to be a brickie next.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a brickie. I don't.
Does everybody in the band share that philosophy, or does anybody feel Francis, great idea and great philosophy, but I don't feel that and I want to get out?
Well, they wouldn't tell me, would they? That'd be a dod that shoot yourself in the foot. No, Rick and I think, have always been that. Rick was even more traditional showbiz than I am because he had the traditional training. He did cabaret, and I mean, we take the piss out of him and laugh about it, but that is serious training. Right. Being a rock and roll in a pub, there's 4 of you. Well, if you don't like it, enough. Whereas when you're in cabaret, oh shit. He would do cabaret dressed as something, all tidy little suit and he's everything, and these 2 girls either side of me. Oh shit, that was real. That's learning your craft.
But isn't it learning your craft? And that's what you've been saying throughout the show, is that the groundwork you do and things like that And even using the word showbiz to some rockers is kind of like the
I know it is, but we're in show business.
Right.
If we kid ourselves we're just in music, then we should just stay at home and play for ourselves. The thing is, and it took me years to understand, most people that are in this side of the business are insecure little show-offs. I know so many people, big stars so-called, that are really quite shy when it comes to it.
Okay.
Put them on stage, you've got some front, haven't you? Take them off stage, innit? Come on, like, another Irish guy, I met Bono some years ago, he came up to me in Wembley, I was doing something with Dire Straits, and he was so polite, so quiet, I thought it was that, and he went. Somebody said that was Bono. I said, it wasn't. So I ran after him, I said, I'm very sorry, and he was, wait. We're all like that, but there's this side of us that goes on and says, hey, watch me, I'm frigging good, you're going to love this. Otherwise you couldn't go and do it.
Yeah.
So if you just want to be a musician, what are you doing in this business? If you just want to be a musician, it's your art, man. I know one person, and again, he's Irish. It's like having a good day.
Yeah, well, it is a good day for
Van
the Irish.
Morrison.
It's a good day for the Irish.
Van Morrison, he epitomises that thing to me.
What?
He's not in showbiz. He's the artist. He's a true artist. He's a great writer. I don't particularly like too much of his stuff. I don't.
Okay.
Some people see
Even
Sunshine.
the early stuff, the early blues stuff with them?
Yeah, some of it I liked, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't see that where people see Sunshine from his derriere. I don't.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
I'm not knocking that people do.
All right.
But he is one of those to me. He's not interested in show business at all. Well, maybe he was in the beginning, but he's not now. And he's the only one I know that seems to be that way. He's not interested. Whereas most of us,
Right.
we're in show business.
And in the business of showing off.
Exactly. Otherwise, you couldn't do it, could you?
Are you a shy, timid little creature? The moment we turn off the mic, will you call up in the corner now and cry? Or
Well, I get a
run
little
away?
bit more. I get a bit more.
Introverted.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to ask you one question. I read on Sunday that you have become, is it more spiritual, more religious? You read a particular book
Yeah,
that actually
conversations.
affected... Yeah.
Conversations with God. Yeah, I'm a Catholic. I was brought up
All
Catholic. My mother's side were Irish. My father's side were Italian. I didn't have a chance. Cradle Catholic. You haven't got no hope on earth. But I read these books and...
But you lost touch with it along the way, surely.
No.
No, you didn't lose touch with
Even
it?
doing... I'd be in church that night, coked out of my brains. I've still got to go. Or she's going to smack me arse when I get there, isn't he? You know, the Lord's going to kill me for it. But
Catholics don't do cocaine.
that did my fucking day. No, they can do Guinness, but that's another thing I find is so odd. You know, I wouldn't want my children. I wouldn't want my children doing drink. Oh no, I don't want them doing drugs. And they're getting pissed witless, telling everybody this. You know. But the main thing that I got from the books initially was...
We just went very recently, you read this book, was it?
In the last couple of years, it was this homeopath from Northern Ireland. I was sit and talk to her about Catholics and us and the way we are. And she said, "You got to read this." I went, "I don't read this." So she actually gave me the book one day, and I started to read it. And a few things that had the profound effect on me is this guy supposedly having a conversation with God. And everybody straight away says to me, "What a load of cobblers." So what do you think the frigging Bible is? You believe that shit, don't you? I don't know how many times that's been changed to water to suit the church.
Yeah.
And the main thing is this, and the guy asked him if there's a heaven and if there's a hell and if there's a devil. He said, well, if there's a devil, I'd terminate him, wouldn't I? We're supposed to believe that there's our God that we're taught, that we have the one only true holy Catholic Apostolic Church, right? Mm-hmm. But we're taught that God is in a battle with the devil and one day he'll beat him. That's a nasty sod as far as I'm concerned. Because if he could, he'd beat him straight away. I mean, that's a funny thing I was taught at school. Yes, he will beat him one day. And if you're not good, he won't get... It doesn't add up at all. Right. The Supreme Being would terminate anything that was evil like that.
Okay, all right. So how did it help you redefine your position spiritually? Did it liberate
I
you?
now believe more in God than I do any religions. Most religions just lead people away from the truth. Hey, man. But, you know, from that... We're all one. We're all linked. We're all... Even the science now believes that 98% of our DNA is the same, no matter where we come from. You know, in the world, people like to say the Irish are thick and the Polish are thick and the Americans are all whack, 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 and the British are stuffed shirts and the French are all... and the Germans should be killed. What are we talking about? Right. And the more they keep us all separate, the more it can go on. When everyone realises we're all one, like they keep telling us in England, we don't want our pound taken away. I don't give a shit. As long as I've got money. I don't care if it's $1, a punt, a euro, call it what you like. As long as when I spend it, it works. If you get me to believe that, you know, the English are the best, I've got a problem with all that. Or the Italians are the best, or the Irish are the best, the three parts of my life, if you like.
Yeah, the mix.
We're at the mix, the Irish, lovely. But they teach us to be separate, and the more separatism goes on, nationalism goes on, I now believe in all those kind of conspiracy theories that the hippies were all talking about when I was a kid, because we're all taught when we're growing up, when you're a big lad, just get married and you have children and that, and you go, yes, I will, Father, yes, lad. And all the girls are told, you can have babies, but you mustn't like what it's doing to you. Oh, fucking hell, what's going on here, It's crazy. It really is crazy. And more people should read it. It doesn't mean I don't believe in God. I believe more in God than I ever did.
Oh, so will we end the show with a hymn for the day, or do you want to play?
You like taking the piss, don't you?
Those are the Irish in me.
I know. It's fantastic and I love it.
We won't end with a hymn then.
No, we won't.
We won't end with clips.
Actually, I had a great hymn as well. It was the faith of our fathers, which is exactly what I was just saying. We just believe in what our fathers and mothers told us to.
All right.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
You can have sex, but don't be dirty with it.
All right. Well, we can end with faith of our fathers if you like.
I love it. I still go to mass because I've got to get my kids in the schools. It's terrible. I'm playing the game.
Okay, give us a Quo hymn.
What will other people consider one of the Quo hymns?
Well, I suppose a hymn or an anthem. I mean, that's what a lot of your songs are seen as anthems. Yeah. Whether they're hymns is up for fans to decide.
You be careful. I like my nuts where they are. I don't want the Catholic Church coming after me taking them for it. I've got to go to mass when I get back. I'd say probably Roll Over, Lay Down that people consider one of those. What? You pick one.
No, you go for it. No, it's you're the man. You're the man. It's your show.
I hate that when they do that to you. Yeah, I suppose. Rocking and whatever you want, the last two, yeah.
Yeah, but they're really obvious.
Rocking, they're obvious, the those two.
They're real.
We now call whatever you want the Argos ad. Do you know that? Caroline, then, perhaps. He should have seen his face when I said Caroline.
No, what was the one that Aidan brought up earlier? Remember we saw it, Little White Lies?
That's off the most recent of the Under the Influence album.
Well, now, can I lead you into that question?
I knew you'd like that.
Well, Francis Rossi, before you go, I do have to, I believe you, I don't know who got there first, you stole, the title of this show for your album, I stole the title of your album for this show. But on the Under the Influence album, you have a track. Do you want to talk us into that?
Yes, it's a track from the Under the Influence albums you just said. It's not a normal Status Quo kind of track, but it's a song that Richard wrote, and I think it's really lovely, and it's called Little White Lies. I should have been in radio. What bullshit.
Very smooth. Is it? I didn't hear it. So it's not a bad. Is it a bad?
Very cute little song.
Is it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, that's one option, or we can go for one you mentioned. Give us one last
Caroline,
one.
if you like. Yeah.
Caroline. Well, Francis Rossi once has just ended the show for me, so I'll just repeat what he told me to say. Coming out of that, Francis Rossi, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it immensely.
Okay.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. More can be heard, as I said, at joejacksoninterviewer.com.